We're going to be joined first by Sally Potter from the 10 Pound Fiddle, who is here on a sort of whirlwind tour. She's got a number of places she's got to be this evening, and I hope, her first stop. And
yeah, this is great. This is wonderful. Thank you for finding some space.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening with the 10 Pound Fiddle lineup.
The fiddle lineup, we've got it for our 40th season.
That's what's so amazing.
Incredible.
40 years.
I think we've done 4 or 5 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 shows, and we have about 23 to go.
Oh, wow.
Small number.
No, we do 28 shows and 10 dances and 9 Fiddle Scout meetings.
Wow, that's an amazing lineup.
That's a lot going on for an organization.
Yeah.
But it's all pretty dispersed. I mean, the Fiddle Scout people run the Fiddle Scouts, and we have a crew that does dances and a crew that does concerts, and not everybody works every concert. And we have 300 members. We have an email list of almost 2,000. That email goes out every week. And the 300 members generates about $4,500, and that's sort of our amount to cover any losses we have and to buy new sound equipment or buy certain revamped website, which we did last year. So that's our money to get better, is our membership money. Mm-hmm. And then we have a kind of a list of about 100 volunteers and maybe 20 people that help with the dances and 80 that help with the concerts, although there's a lot of crossover. And it takes about 12 volunteers to run a concert.
Now, you've been exploring some new venues this year. You were down at the Allen Marketplace.
Yeah, that was
the
fun.
Hank Williams show.
Yep,
that was great.
Well, we not only sold that out, we sold standing room only and couldn't find any more room to stand.
Yeah,
so
it was amazing.
It was jammed. They ran out of beer, they ran out of cookies, and it was, the guys put on a good show.
Oh, it was, I mean,
they connected right away, and they had the room in the palm of their hands, and that's who we book. We book professionals who sort of don't act like it, who know that folk music is a form of communication, and it runs both ways. So if the band can feed off the crowd, and even if the crowd is really soft and quiet, if the band just knows that they're there and treats it like we're all sharing this space and we're all sharing the music, it makes for delightful evenings.
When you started 40 years ago, what was the niche and who was it that got this started? And give us that, how did this get going here?
I have to know this better than I do, but I can fake it. 1974, a group of people started just inviting people to come and give concerts. Joel Mavis was the second concert.
Really?
1974 in Williams Hall.
Right on campus?
It's right on campus.
Most of it was on campus early on.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Old
that.
College Hall and then Williams Hall. Bob Blackman has written a very lovely essay on the beginnings. He was in at the beginning, maybe not but really close to the beginning. I didn't come to town till 84, and so I wasn't there. But a lot of people who were there are still a big part of the 10 Pound Fiddle.
Well, that was the era when folk music really had that huge resurgence with Dylan and Baez and all that.
Right, and also locally, there's Ray Camelot and Joel Mavis and Sally Rogers lived here, and the Bosom Buddies were here, and a lot of those people are still here. And actually, a lot of people that were interested would come to MSU to school, and they'd be fed by Elderly, or they'd get a job at Elderly, and they'd help with the 10 Pound Fiddle. And there are a lot of organizations, folk organizations around the state, that are run by people who spent some time in East Lansing.
Oh, so there's spin-offs all over.
There are spin-offs, but people get experience here, and then they land somewhere else, and then they say, well, let's invite this folk musician, and then they're inviting 5, and then they're inviting one every month, and there's a different folk music folk festival outside in the summertime. I think 1 or 2 a week for 20 weeks. We have the Great Lakes Folk Festival put on by the museum, but there's Spirit of the Woods and Hiawatha and Bliss and the Flint Folk Festival and the list and the
Buttermilk.
The buttermilk. I was going to the honey bear. No, the buttermilk. And there are all these festivals that happen, and I'm not saying they're all connected to the fiddle, because they're not, but it's all one big acoustic folk/acoustic/roots family that visits other venues and picks up ideas and picks up people. Boy, I want to book that person at my festival next year.
And it builds the appetite. It's kind of like when they put up, when McDonald's comes in and when they add the Burger King and all the rest of them, it boosts everybody's income.
Absolutely.
Everybody buys more because they develop a taste for it.
They develop a taste for it. And anybody who's got a taste, you can see a concert in Greater Lansing every Friday night.
Wow.
Is there a resurgence of folk music nationally, do you think?
There is a resurgence of Americana, which is exactly what LNZ presents.
now.
Programs, thank you. And we are part of that. We are part of the big folk umbrella, or Americana, folk / roots, whatever you want to call it. There's a little aversion to saying the word folk very often. Lucy Kaplansky and a few other people don't want to be called folk musicians. We don't mind, because folk has a huge umbrella and everybody's under it. We had a blues act last Friday night that 6 people said it was the best concert they've seen in years. And we have Joel
Who was
Mavis
it?
every year. It was Sherry Kane and Dave Steele.
Oh, yes.
But
yeah.
then it was Brooks Williams. He grew up in Georgia, lives in England, and doesn't tour much, but Sherry and Dave got a little Michigan tour last weekend, and he came.
Yeah.
And he's a pro. He's just off the chain, and he did a fabulous job.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and he communicated, and he understood that the audience is pretty quick and has seen a couple of shows before in their lives, and didn't have to describe anything too much. Just here we are, and let's share some music.
Let me find out what's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Next
and
couple
where
of weeks.
those will be.
Well, every fall we try to have a dulcimer weekend. So Doug Birch lives here, and he's going to bring a great friend, Butch Ross. And Butch Ross plays classical on a dulcimer that he holds like a baby. And then he'll play hammered dulcimer, and he is a musician who happens to play both dulcimers. It's all going on in his head, and he makes it happen on dulcimers. Susan Werner is Halloween, and she is one of the top 10 singer-songwriters out there. She is hysterical. She was a folkie. She spent time in Boston, nurtured her craft, and then said, I'm interested in jazz. So she went to the Berklee School of Music and got a jazz degree.
Whoa.
So she plays piano, she plays guitar,
Wow.
she writes. She just wrote a musical that debuted in Atlanta about a month ago, and she'll probably talk about that a little bit. She'll be at the Community Music School. We are shifting venues around because we don't have a home.
No, you don't, do you?
Which is why we've been here 40 years.
Because I remember when you used to do a lot of things at Erickson Kiva.
Absolutely. And then they changed the kiva, and they took
Yeah.
out the sound, big, ugly trapezoidal things, but they had a purpose. So now you put a band up there with any amplification, and the thing is like a band box.
I see.
It's kind of like get your roller skates out. It's just. So we can't have shows there anymore. We had
I wondered
Frontier
about
Ruckus there. It was packed.
Yeah.
We had kids dancing, and that was cool for that sound. But we can't do a whole lot else there. And it's also a pain to haul the sound equipment over there. And
Campus is hard for parking.
It's there's parking at the Kiva, but it's hard to produce. There's a lot of red tape, and we've sort of chosen not to. In its place, we have found the Community Music School.
Yes, over there on Hagedorn.
Right, and they're just lovely people. Rhonda Buckley and now Jamie DeMott, and we are going to have Susan Werner there.
Oh, good.
And we had Seth and May there, and it was packed last month.
Yeah.
And Susan Werner's going to pack it. She's going to get to play the really big grand piano. And so we match the venue to the sort of the genre of the performer. And we're using more and more venues.
Yeah, the UU Church, I heard, in East Lansing is...
They're thinking of moving to another... Yeah, and that's all in the process. So
you always have to look for a new
We
home.
always have to.
Yeah.
But frankly, back to Bill's point, the fiddle is one of the minority of folk clubs that's growing. Our numbers are up. Our numbers are up. Our ticket price has slid up just a little bit. It's still the cheapest around, period. And so because of that, the venue, like the Unitarians, used to be really good for most shows because we wouldn't have 150 people. Now we do. Those 150 shows are now drawing 200, 2 or 3 years later.
Just
We
talking
got done
about
about that. There's not many venues.
There isn't, and the Community Music School is one, and it's a marvelous. We will be able to put 300 in there if we need to.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then and then from 300 you go to either Dart, which is 500, or Hannah, which is 500. But they're up in another rent category.
What about Pattengill junior high. Heard it?
It's sure. I've been in there for a couple concerts. School districts are hard. The other reason that you want to do venues that are easy to work with is for 40 years you have to keep volunteers. You have to keep 10 board members that'll work really hard, and the more phone calls they have to make,
Yeah.
the faster the burnout. If we can get a system going, if we can call CMS and go, hey, are you open on these 5 dates? And they'll say, sure. And we'll say, great.
It's over.
And that's the
That's the way you want to be able to do that.
And that's the way, then everybody wins.
I like the Ellen Marketplace too, where they had that new Sleepwalker beer. They introduced a beer named for one of the Sleepwalker that my husband played on pedal steel. So that was kind of cool.
Oh,
That was very cool.
it's a fabulous venue, and Joan Nelson and her crew are going to make some improvements, and we hope to be back there next year.
That sounds great. There's
Yeah.
a lot of good places around
Yeah.
town. What's coming up for the Christmas for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Well, Thanksgiving we don't do much. We don't
All right.
we don't go against Silver Bells.
Okay.
And then we don't do the Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
One thing, Matt Watroba down at the Arc always has a big show that Friday.
Ah.
We don't want to go against that, and we want to keep our volunteers happy. Another venue is the Robin Theater by Dylan and Gina D. of the Loves.
Oh, their new venue.
Right.
Their new
Yes.
venue. We're going to be there on December 5th.
Oh, great.
We're going to do a double show with them at 7 and at 9. Before I started booking, I did a holiday sing, so I still do
Yeah.
that. It's kind of weird to book yourself, but I figured I did it way before I started booking, so it's kind of okay. And I have a different guest, and this year the guest is Matt Watroba and Doug Birch. Doug Birch
Cool.
does hammered dulcimer and makes it all pretty, and Matt is back in the state.
That's a penny whistle too. if
He
you-
does everything.
Yeah.
Banjo,
Yeah.
everything. And Matt's back in Michigan, so it was time to and he's really getting into leading songs.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Matt and I will be the people for that. The Ducks are going to start our winter season at Hannah on the 16th of January, and the really big show is Peter Yarrow on March 6th
Really?
at
Oh,
Hannah.
that's very cool.
And it will sell out, and the tickets are, our board wants to keep it cheap. So the tickets on
We're not even allowed to say, but we'll say that where can they
Sorry.
find that information? Because this is the.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tickets are a lot less than you think. There's a floor price and a balcony price.
Ah.
10 Pound Fiddle, TEN, poundfiddle.org. There's a web page for every concert.
It's
There's
really a
link.
nice site now.
Thank you. That's
nice.
what members' money went for last year.
Yes. Yeah.
Peter, Paul, and Mary came on the scene 50 years ago this year, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
that's when they played at March in Washington.
Wow.
64.
63.
63 was the March.
Yeah, it was 63.
64, the civil rights, and
Yeah.
65, the voting rights. Yeah.
Well, I promised Sally that she would be able to get on her way because she's already going to be running late for her next stop.
No, well, it's a choir rehersal with the Arts
Yes.
Chorale, and it's
It's
you know,
important.
they read music, and I need all the help I can get learning it.
But that's great. So keep us informed, and we'll always be telling people. And it's the 10 Pound Fiddle, and it's not the Arabic number. It's TEN
.org, and everything's on there. Venue directions, tickets. You can buy every ticket for every show online, and once they're gone, and there's not much we can do.
So are Yarrow tickets up there already?
Euro tickets are up there.
Whoa.
There are only 450 tickets, and the Ducks are up there. We're having a sing along with the Spain and the Macomb and Spain brothers. So it's Tommy Macomb's kid and the Spain kids, and that's going to be March 13th at CMS. That's going to be Irish songs, and it'll be a sing along.
Oh, cool. That's
So
awesome.
every Friday has a little different genre. We're doing Chris Williamson with the Women in the Arts Festival. So under that big folk umbrella, you know, bluegrass and Celtic
Right.
and old time and women's and singer-songwriter and Irish and just a different genre, so we get more and more people under the umbrella enjoying live music.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Thank
see
you
you,
very
Sally.
much.
Thank
You
you.
bet.